Who's truly in need? The U.S. and third world country aid. Now, you've seen those commercials. The ones with the third world country children who are deprived of food, water, and education. They need help. There are nonprofit organizations who advertise this, telling you you should donate 25, 50, 75 cents a day. Well, I say that's wrong. Now, I say we focus on those in our own country that who need the help. They need the food, they need the water, they need the education. Well, I've seen those commercials as well. The ones with the third world country kids who are in need of help. It makes me sad to see that there are people still struggling out there, and I really want to help. But why don't we just help those out in our own country first before we help those in another? But the bigger question is, who do we help? To know who do we help, we need to know who needs the help. Well, there are two categories I shall be focusing on, the U.S. and the needy countries. And I've split the needy countries into two separate categories, which are the environmentally corrupt and the officially corrupt countries. The environmentally corrupt countries have pollution running throughout the air, the water, just anywhere. And then say food and water and education deprivation. Now, the official corrupt country, they are the countries that have corrupt governments, corrupt law enforcement, etc., that prevents them from moving forward. Now, it's pretty obvious when I say the U.S. is a small population, those who are in poverty as a whole, they need the help just because they aren't living a good life. Now that I've established those who are in need, I can go over to say why they need the need. Well, you may be saying that we're a first world country, we prosper, living the American dream, well, most of us, and why can't we help out others? Well, that's a good question. It's obvious that we should help others, like the corrupt officials, so that we can give them the progressive ideology that they need to help progress. So they are no longer corrupt, which prevents them from being progressive, so that we can dig them out of that hole that they've dug themselves in. And then the environmental problems vary. As I said before, the pollution, these are, say, countries like China and India with polluted airways, and then, say, India has their, they have their rivers and that are polluted with muck and all that. It makes it hard for them to use it as drinking water and, say, water to clean themselves in when they get it out of there. Well, we move on to African countries, which are the ones you see on the television, and other countries that are deprived of food, water, and education, which in itself is really, really, really bad. These conditions are really hard to live in. Well, I say it's a good idea to help them, but we shouldn't help them yet. And here's why. You may think that we don't need the help. As I said before, we are a first world country, we're prosperous, and we're living the American dream, well, most of us. So why should we help ourselves? We should be helping others. Well, there are still people out there who are facing problems, like the homeless, it's the poor in general, just people in poverty. They aren't doing so hot. Now, we have nonprofit organizations seeking to help these homeless people, these people in poverty, and it's a good thing too. But seeing that, though, they've been formed even before my own birth, and that they're still working to help those in need today, not much progress, well, progress may have been done, but I'm saying their goal has not been reached. Now, what I'm suggesting is we take all of the nonprofit organizations in the U.S. that are seeking to help anyone in need, whether it's in our country or just any other country. We need to focus on our own. Take them and focus on our country. This will help stop seeing those people on the streets more efficiently, more effectively, and overall it'll be much better for them to live the American dream. They all need our help, and overall, we just need to perfect our imperfections that we may have, that we still have. Now, everyone needs help. Me, you, those in third world countries, and those here who are poor. But I've listened to a Dave Ramsey podcast. He said something around the lines of, those who are not doing so well financially aren't very good at handling money. I take this to be true. You may think, oh, yeah, poor people in the U.S. aren't doing so well. They put themselves in that position. Well, let's put this on a national scale. Those countries, which are the poor people, put themselves there and aren't doing so hot because they didn't find successful ways of living. Now, when we talk about airlines, the flight attendants tell you to put on your own oxygen mask when one pops down before you start helping say babies, disabled people, anyone, because it's better to save one life than zero. So why can't we follow this ideology? Now that you know who needs the help and why they need the help, you can now just focus on those who need the help the most. In my opinion, those in this country who are deprived of water, food, and education and have no happy life to live. But all in all, to answer the question, who needs help, I need to answer that with another question. Is it easier to help a small fraction of a developed nation or to help a whole developing nation?